Mercer, and today is Sunday, the 30th of March, and we've just finished up State Council. I'm out at the Burbank Airport, getting ready to go home. And what happened today was Sunday is Committee Reports Day, and there are two things that come through the committee. One is legislation recommendations. In March, that's a really big deal. And what we do is we look through the legislation at each of the committees, see how it matches policy, which we keep a record of a policy that's been set over at State Council. And then we go over and take a look at the legislation. So I'm over on assessment and testing. We looked at testing and assessment related legislation and pupil data, and looked over at policy. We make recommendations whether to support, to oppose, or to do what's called watch. And watch means we like the idea of this legislation. We feel it has some problems that need some work, and so that directs staff to go over and work with the legislator authoring it to go over and try and make it work a little bit better. This is important because it sets policy for staff and for members who are doing lobbying, and some of the most important lobbying actually is members like myself. So on Tuesday I'm going to be doing what's called a lobby day. I'll be out of the classroom. And sorry, that's the announcement about my flight. Anyway, so I'll be out Tuesday. I'll be doing lobbying, and this will help guide the legislation I talk about and what positions I say teachers are in favor of. The other thing that the committees do is they review MBIs, and they either support them, or they recommend a non-support position. They look at how it matches up over to policy, and then that goes over before the floor. Even if they say we think this is doesn't fit our policy, it can be pulled over at that point. So we had a situation where a new business item that was written by Carlos Rico, who's a fellow teacher over at Sacramento Teachers Association and fellow state council member, and it was related to school closures, and Carlos wanted us to work on legislation to go over and change ed code so that school districts will be required, because now it says they may, but it would require them to go over and convene an advisory committee when they're doing school closures. And we did that because we had some school closures that happened last year. 6 schools closed with about 30 days notice, and we felt that more time would be good, both for consideration, because even if the committee rubber stamps it, it gives us more time to go over and lobby if it's being done for the if the school closure is being done for the wrong reasons. It gives us some time, it gives the community some time. And so we went over and did what's called a substitute motion, asking for approval of it, and we're successful. This doesn't happen very often because the committees usually have pretty good reasons for turning stuff down. And there's deference given to their expertise in the area and their reading of the policy over in the area. So that's not very typical. In addition to those MBIs, there are also MBIs that are pulled out for immediate action that are discussed over at State Council. And I had one that was related to the Network for Public Education's call for congressional hearings on high-stakes testing. And that one, I had to go over and work on the wording of it, because generally speaking, going over and directing Congress on things is done over at the NEA level rather than the state or CTA level. But we got something through where CTA is going to go over and write a letter to the California Congressional Delegation reiterating our position that learning is more important than testing, that it's learning, not testing. And it ties in with a recent campaign, Raise Your Hand for Education, that's about focusing on learning rather than focusing on testing. If you have, if you're curious about MP's call, and this is an organization that was started by Diane Ravitch and Anthony Cody and some other folks who've been really good on the public education issues. You can go to networkforpubliceducation.org And basically they're asking people to write letters to Congress asking for these hearings. And so that was pulled for immediate action and spoke a little bit. It passed. So we got out at a decent time, 4:30, and I'm here catching my flight home, and I'm looking forward to getting there. Thank you very much.